These videos are the results of the Super 8 film that I took, my second tour in Vietnam. This LZ, there's the Cobra, that's a G model. There's the CH-46, commonly referred to as a frog. And this was used as a logistical support area, supporting Marines in the Khoy San Mountains and Khoy San Valley. There's a 46. You'll see some 46s coming in, transporting some Marines in from the field in just a moment. You can see the heavy rain over in the Khoy San Mountains in the background. It would rain very, very hard up in the I-Corps area. It's Marston matting there on the ground. This is taken from inside an AH-1G. I shot it with the movie camera again. You can see the pot marks on the side of the mountain. That's where either artillery or bombs have hit. There's a Huey, armed Huey, a Marine Corps type, flying escort for us. Or we're supporting him, I believe, at this time. You can see there's some, it's hard to make out, but there's some CH-46s in the zone down below. We set up a wagon wheel around them to be able to cover them. I zoomed in on it, and of course you get the vibration from the helicopter magnified when you zoom in. You can see the low-level helicopter going along above the rice paddies below. There's another Cobra right there.
Do you know who that is?
Not right offhand. Later I'll show some aircraft, and I do know who it was. You can see it getting a reflection off. There's a Yarnell, and this is right there with the hooches that you see in the background. There's a head. This is a Cobra coming in to either land or take off. Another. Always flying twos. This is right out. Okay, you can see it raining there in Vietnam. This is right outside the room that I had in this building. I didn't live in a hooch my second tour. I lived in a building with a private room. You can see the buildup with the sandbags outside. These are flares at night being dropped. They're about a million candlelight power to them. We carried those for night medevac. This is Marble Mountain. You can see the aircraft revetments where each one's parked. That's in case of a rocket attack or something, you don't get them damaged. That's a CH-53 right there. That's the biggest helicopter in the free world. There's a mech working on the rotor head.
What is a mech?
A mech is a mechanic, Mom.
Thank you.
There's a Huey coming in.
That's a single engine, huh?
Yes, those E-model Hueys were single engine. There's Cobra turning up. One of the things we did when we taxied in the Cobra, we drug the skids on the ground. Later, in the more advanced Cobras, we flew at about 10 feet altitude when we taxied.
Why would you drag the skids?
It was in case the engine quit. It didn't have the momentum to it to do a auto rotation. So here's one of the Marines working on a Cobra. It's a little dark there, but it's got a minigun and then a 40 millimeter cannon.
What were those rockets, inboard and outboard? What were those?
I didn't notice. That fellow right there was a lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps. Later, he's a lieutenant there. He's passed away now.
What's the name? Oh.
This is at the beach at Marble Mountain. The squadron had a party down there, if you will, at the beach. You can see that it's a beautiful beach, white sand. You can see the guard towers over there in the background. This is some of the squadron members. You can see what they're getting out of here in just a moment. Again, you can see the rainstorms around. He's pouring grease on the pigs. And, of course, he's supposed to catch the pigs. It was a contest. And they were greased down, so they were very hard to catch.
A contest between whom?
Between flights. Our teams, chosen teams.
Is that beer? What are they drinking in those cans?
I think that's beer. Okay, there's a little storm blowing in there. You can see the dust and dirt. Vietnam was the only place in the world that dust would come out of a mud puddle. You can see the sand there at Marble Mountain. It got into everything. Those are water towers over there in the background.
A lot of sandbags filling.
Yeah, you can see the revetments around the hooches. That's an Army aircraft that was coming in. This is from the back seat of a Cobra. That's co-pilot up in front seat. This is some of the instruments in the Cobra.
Is that the radio there? Or is it on the other side?
No, it's on the other side. That's, let me see. I believe that's Baldy again. You can see the runway down there. Yeah, that's Baldy.
Baldy.
Yeah, that was the name of the LZ. Was Baldy. Landing zone.
A permanent LZ.
This is up in the Quezon Mountains. I'm sure we're going up in there to escort some transport helicopters as they resupply Marines up in these mountains. You saw the pipper there. That means I'm armed and ready to fire. Was the gun sight. Here we are maneuvering for position. There's looks like a Marine position down there. You can see they popped the smoke. Looks like a 46 coming in to land. He's not going to be able to touch down. He's going to have to hover with his rear ramp down to load and unload everything. You, of course, always want to have the high ground, so you had to do a lot of, like he's doing on a Razorback. We would fly a wagon wheel. If there were two helicopters, we'd fly 180 degrees out in a circle so we could roll in at any time and support him. We'd also come around and pick him up as he was coming out of the zone so we could fly and escort him out. There's yellow smoke has been popped. Pop a smoke. When you did that, you'd call for smoke, and they would throw a smoke, and then you would identify the color. You never said the color of the smoke until you identified it. That would stop the bad guys from popping the same color of smoke. Back at Baldy, this is back at Marble Mountain. That's South China Sea right there.
Who's got the defense? I mean, who manned that?
Marines that were in the squadrons would pull the duty and have to man the perimeter at night. You'd have to provide so many from... we provided our own security. Pretty good sized waves. Right up to the left, if you go north, which would be the left, is China Beach. The sunset at Marble Mountain. That those mountains you see over there, that's a peninsula. And Monkey Mountain is the name of that area. Later in here, I'll fly around that peninsula, all the way around it, and film. From our area, you could always hear the waves crashing when we were at Marble Mountain. Made for good sleeping.
How close was this to your first tour, where you stayed your first tour?
When we were at Marble Mountain, just right in the same area, really, except the living conditions weren't as good. If you notice, we normally painted the top of one of the rotor blades white, and this gave a irregular shape, and from above you could see that helicopter better. From the ground level, it didn't change at all. Here again, moving for positions to be able to support. Again, it's in the back seat, and there's the co-pilot. You see the back of his head there. Yellow smoke. That gave the wind direction and marked their position both.
The good guys.
The good guys, yes. You see some Marines down there. 46. Frog, sometimes called because it looks like a squatting frog. It's back at Baldy. We've landed there. We have to stand duty down at Baldy a lot, and so we would go there and land. Here's one of the ordnance people working on one of the weapons. He's going to do some loading here in just a moment. You can see he's working on the minigun. He's got ammunition there in that box beside him. That guy right there with the sunshades on is Terry Curtis. Or Terry Crews, was it? Crews. Yeah, Terry Crews. He'll retire a colonel from the Marine Corps. You see there's HE is high explosives. You saw the HE on the revetment over there. Here again, there's a red smoke and a yellow smoke, and looks like a third smoke's yellow. I believe there are going to be some 46s to come in. We were covering, and it was an area we commonly referred to as Alligator Lake. When we had 4 helicopters, a division, we would fly 90 degrees out, so that someone was always in position to be able to roll in on wherever they reported they were taking fire from. You can see the 46s there. I think this is a pickup. You can see some water there to the right. If you looked at it straight down, it looked like an alligator. You notice that the sight's not on there, so we're not any place that we're going to start shooting in just a moment. You see the ocean, a lot of beautiful property there. This is Highway 1. It ran all the way from Saigon up to the DMZ along the coast. You can see how wet it is down there with the rivers, paddies, ocean. It was a beautiful country.
What altitude are you at there?
I would say right around 2,000 feet or so, maybe 2,500. Okay, this is back near Baldy. You can see the wet rice paddies. And I think I'm going to come around and land. Well, maybe not. You, of course, got the... I was hot, so we weren't landing then because I had the guns on. We were doing something for somebody. That window you're looking at on the right now from the... Okay, that's Da Nang. That's the airfield at Da Nang. And those hills over there in the background are the Marble Mountains. That river that we're just coming up on right there is the one I crashed in, and when I lost the tail rotor on the... But it was further on towards the ocean, towards the Marble Mountains. Back at Marble Mountain, one of the aircraft. As you can see, some of the film was bad. That was due to water damage. That's Buck Owens right there. Firebase Simmons. We called him Firebase because he carried so much armament. This is in the back of sitting in the back. That is Lieutenant Keene right there. And that's Buck Simmons, the bald head. You could always pick him out. He was a young man, bald-headed. Good guy, though. Okay, what they're doing is they're going to start putting together rockets. That is the motor. And what they're doing is screwing Pinky, screwing warheads on the rocket motors. Those are 2.75 inch rocket. Those heads that they're screwing on, I'm trying to look and see if they're 10-pound heads or 17-pound heads. We were down at Baldy. Normally the pilots wouldn't be doing this, but we needed to rearm down at Baldy. That's Terry Crews that's bringing that helicopter over.
There's a stake right there.
Yeah. He saw it. Here again, putting together rockets. We would stand the duty here. We had a hooch that all you could do was read paperback books and sleep. Another aircraft repositioning.
How's it flying? Flying sideways.
Yeah.
How would you make it go sideways like that?
Take the stick to the left, right, back, forward. You have to control the rudder pedals too. This was, I think, flying from Da Nang back to Baldy or Baldy to Da Nang. I don't know if that's early in the morning or late at night. This is the CNA-4 just passed by. I used to fly those, and he just dropped a napalm. There was a combined action company that was moving in that area, and the A4s were supporting them. I went down to take a look. Ended up that one of the Marines was wounded, but he got wounded because he threw a grenade and it hit a tree and bounced back. Not serious wound. They're making their runs north to south, pulling off to the left so they can go out over the ocean behind us where they won't take fire and then come back around and drop again. There's A4. This is Quezon Valley. Back at Marble Mountain, you can see the hooches, you can see the flaps. They're all down because it's been raining. You prop those open, you can let air in. The screen behind that. Okay, I lived in that first door on the left. Right there. I've got the canvas down. One of the things I noticed that when it was rainy and a helicopter flew over, it would rain harder. And that's a fact. I think it'd probably shake the cloud or something, but it really would rain harder. There's a Cobra firing. Okay, this is firing from our aircraft. That's the minigun firing. Every fifth round lights up. You're firing a whole lot more rounds than you can see there. It sounds like a buzzsaw when, like. Okay, see that mountain right there? That's the one I crashed on my first tour, my first crash. Was on near the top of that mountain, not on top, but down. There's an old French fort that's manned by the Vietnamese. You can see it's the old, got a moat around it. You see it's the rainy season, obviously. A lot of water. We're going north down the beach. We're actually over the water there. As you can see the surf down below. Those hills over there to the left, upper left, those are the Marble Mountains right there. Our air facility was named after those. They were granite. Buddhist monks lived there. Okay, there's Marble Mountain up ahead. You can see we're coming around, getting lined up with the runway, actually. Going north. That peninsula I was talking about, Monkey Mountain, is straight ahead. Our flight line is going to be off to the right once we touch down. You see the Cobras lined up there near the runway with the revetments. We're talking to Tower. This is back at Baldy, and this is some of the squadron pilots that were some of the loading of the aircraft. Sitting around eating sea rations, it looked like. Okay, you can barely see it, but those are Marines hanging under that helicopter. Yeah, right there. This was an emergency extraction that they called for the 46s to come in and get them because they were compromised. And so the 46 had to come in and pick them up. They wear a harness that they hook to that ladder. This looks like sunrise. Okay, that helicopter right there is the one that I just crashed, lost the tail rotor and crashed in the water. They externaled it out of the river and took it over for repair. I'm not sure if we fired at that or if it's something else. I think this is a combined action company again. They were in contact and they asked me, actually sort of off the cuff. I had 2 aircraft, I think, if we had helped support them. We actually picked up some people hiding behind in a ditch near them and had them creep up on them and surprise them. Some fires burning down there. Marble Mountains again. Here again, going north. A lot of sand. And there's Marble Mountain again, right there on the left. Okay, the rockets that I just saw, the rockets I'm carrying outboard are 17-pound warheads. It was one of the bridges for Highway 1, south of Da Nang. You can see right there is part of the bulletproof seat, armored seat that the co-pilot's sitting up there. You sitting one in the back too. Yeah, he just waved at you. I told
you.
No, I'm taking the pictures. Okay, this is Terry Curtis. No, Terry Crews. Terry Crews is flying this aircraft, and I came up here and I says, "Hey, how about rolling off there?" That's Quezon Valley in the background. It's hard to see him, and I bring him back. I said, "Come on, you can do better than that." So here he comes back. He's just going to roll off to the right. You can see what you can do in a Cobra. We, of course, normally flew at 1,500 feet or above to stay out of small arms fire. If the weather was bad, we would go right on the deck. I think that's Baldy off to the right. We may be coming around for our landing. See all the wet rice paddies. Yeah, there's the runway. We'll be coming around to it. Here we are taking off from Baldy. .46s are coming in. I think they've extracted some Marines from the field. You're going to watch one of them's going to hit a hole here in a minute. You can see the crew chief leaning out the right door. I think we're going to fire here. Okay, this is firing. And those were 17-pound warheads. You can hear those exploding in the cockpit. The 10-pound warhead, you couldn't. Terry Crews was the other airplane that was firing. Okay, there's a ripple where you fired one of these. Okay, that's the minigun firing. That's Terry there. It's a minigun firing again. You see the ricochets coming up. You're only seeing 1/5 of them. Started a little fire down there. You got to be careful or you can fly into your ricochets. This was just for photography there. Okay, I believe that was 40 millimeter cannon firing. It goes thump, 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 thump when it fires. Fires 400 rounds a minute. That's me in the back seat. He took that with the mirror. He said to me, "Look up," and I looked sort of worried at first because I thought maybe there was another aircraft, but it was him just trying to get me to look at the camera. There are the 46s again at Baldy. A lot of operations were run out of Baldy this time in the war. They usually carried 15 to 17 Marines in each one of those 46s. That's me. I'm putting my survival equipment together right there. And this is a bullet bouncer, which I'm going to put is over the chest. That supposedly can take a 50 caliber. I didn't test it. It's pretty easy. You can see the armor plate I've got my hand on there. All that seat and everything's all armor plated. That helmet got a day visor and a night visor. I just put down the night visor actually. Usually in the daytime I would fly with both of them down. You had a tinted visor. Just offered a little more eye protection. Putting on the gloves, you always flew with gloves. They were Nomex and fireproof also. There are 46s coming in at Baldy. Those warheads on that rockets there, those are 17-pound proximity fuses on those. You can see the crew chief looking out the back. That main mount hit in a hole. He's checking it. The 46 had an aviation 50 caliber machine gun on the right side that the crew chief you saw. He mans that, and then on the other side, out one of the windows, the gunner has a 50 caliber machine gun. That they were aviation 50s. They had a higher cyclic of fire than the ground 50s. They could because they were jacketed and you got airstream to cool the barrels so they could fire faster. A Marine position on a hilltop. They'd run a lot of patrols out of those positions like that. A lot of jungle. There's an external taken in to resupply that we are flying escort for. Sort of the foothills to the Quaison Mountains here. A lot of rivers. There's another position there. Aircraft coming in. I think that's what's blowing the smoke around that we're escorting. Got the circle going around him. That's the 40 millimeter grenade launcher right there. He's running in ammunition into one of the drums that you can see there to load it. There they're loading the minigun. You can see the barrels there behind the guy sticking out. But he carried plenty of ammunition for that. You could get a full minute of firing from that minigun. So it gave you plenty. You see the rounds there, the belted ammunition. This is taken at Wing headquarters, and this is a street, just a South Vietnamese street where you saw normal traffic and the South Vietnamese going about their business. There's some women who are waiting actually for a bus that you'll see, and that's some of the stuff they want to load on the bus when it comes. Looks like pipes or something that they've got. There was somebody escorting. Looked like somebody that had been hurt. I took this from a guard tower. There's one of the buses going by. A lot of motorcycles. There's another bus. No telling what they would put on a bus. Another. You can see it's loaded down. Okay, here they are. They're going to load all that on there. There's some Vietnamese girls. You can see they're dressed up fairly nice. They're wearing the black silk pants, and then they wear that blouse which is goes all the way down below their knees and is split up the side. They're putting stuff up on top too. Off they go. Boy, fuel truck. Another Vietnamese girl. They're dressed up fairly nice. Black is the traditional sort of peon. Mexico has white. Poor people wear white. Well, they wear black in Vietnam. You can see that lady there. All of them wear that straw hat, and it has a there's no lining or anything in it. It just sits on top of your head. And they have a silk bow that's the chin strap that they can tie underneath their chin. They were having a ceremony, a South Vietnamese ceremony over there. I just got a picture of it from afar. You wouldn't see the American flag flown in South Vietnam. Always the Vietnamese flag. Yep, there's the, I'm hot.
Looks like you're pretty high.
Yeah, we are pretty high there. Once down in Quezon Valley, I had Firebase Simmons flying as my co-pilot, and I went up to 12,000 feet, and I had to call back to Marble Mountain on one of the radios, and I needed line of sight, so I went up high to talk.
How high could you go?
15,000 or so. The reason I went high and had to call back is I had a sprung canopy door. It wouldn't close, so I was having to hold it closed, and I wanted to alert them that I was bringing it in for a repair. 46 flew over us and slammed it shut and sprung the door when it was parked at Baldy. Whoop. Those are 17-pound warheads with proximity fuses, and I've got hung ordnance. One of the warheads has come loose from the rocket motor. I was going into Marble Mountain, and I had to call them and tell them so they could have ordnance people out there that it wouldn't fall on the runway. CH-53 coming in. It'll carry just about as many people as you can get in it, 50 or 60. This is at where Quezon used to be. I recognize this immediately. This is Lam Son 719 into Laos, and this was right at the border, Laotian border, but in South Vietnam. We would fly from here and go over into Laos. Those are South Vietnamese. The only ground people that went into Laos were South Vietnamese. This is in Laos. There's an airstrike going on over there. We were called in to 53s were going to pick up some 105 millimeter howitzers and take them out, and we had to escort the 53s. It's in one of these where I had, what we did is we fired artillery down one side of the avenue in, and the Cobras took the other side. .130s. And that's where I had to play Wounded Bird. I sort of acted like there's something wrong with the aircraft, and it drew fire away from the 53 so they could get out. Here we are. This is Street Without Joy area. Coming back. This is the way I used to fly. But we got right down on the deck, as you can see.
Yeah, how fast are you going there?
Oh, probably about 165 knots. 175 miles an hour or something like that. 53. They could sure blow a lot of stuff around. Here again, this is at, it isn't Quezon, but it's up near right where Quezon was located. CH-53 again. In the Cobra. It's back seat, pilot. Again, this looks like it's back in Laos. Those are South Vietnamese position. You could see for a moment there, you saw an aircraft that was opposite me circling. We were 4 aircraft, 90 degrees out. However, one of the aircraft had a hydraulics, took some hits, had some hydraulics problems, and I had to escort back to Quezon area. There's a mini bulldozer being flown in by 53 to that position there. I think that was L.C. Brown. You can see that they really only have to defend it on one side because you got cliffs on one side, and then the other side is the side you have to defend. Over in Laos, you took fire all the time. So he's left his external load and he's coming out. All in Laos. Since there weren't any Americans, you had to talk to the Vietnamese. Most of them, English, of course, was a second language.
What is all this?
Those are defensive positions.
Well, all that had to be flown in, right?
Yes.
Oh.
This is back at Quezon area. You can see South Vietnamese boarding the Huey. This is not a change of command, but this was actually when 3 MAF was going to leave country. And it was going to be replaced by the 3rd Marine Brigade, Amphibious Brigade. This is the retiring of those colors there with this large parade. It was a very large parade. You've got I believe, one of the division bands. They're going to troop the line.
They had other MOSs, right? Or
no, they're banned MOSs, but they usually used in helping move casualties when they're not playing in the band. This is the only film I've ever seen of this. I'm sure there's some official film, but I've never seen it. There's officers' call. You see, one of those colors has masked. That's the new colors of 3 MAB that's about to be unveiled. I went over from wing headquarters. I went over to 3 MAB.
those aren't M16s that they're carrying. Those are something else.
Mm. The wing G3 asked me, he said, you can go back home or you can stay. I'd like to ask you to stay with me in 3 MAB. And I went over and stayed at 3 MAB.
But you still got to fly.
Yes. Yeah, I flew. The only thing is, flying wasn't that much fun because the Viet Cong and the North Vietnamese wouldn't fight us. They knew that the opinion back in the States was we were going to pull out because of the politics. And so they decided not to fight. Here's the CO troops with staff coming and then the band. Drum majors always strut.
They're at Sling Arms.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't they? No, they were there Port Arms there.
Eyes right.
I guess they're Port Arms. I can't tell.
Here's the flyover. A lot of different kind of aircraft. Those are the helicopters and the fixed wing. They come by, but they're harder to see. I believe I still have that somewhere.
I've seen it. The program for the ceremony.
I'm riding in the back of a 6x truck. We were bussed over to the parade. I'm riding with some other Marines in the truck going back over to the MAB headquarters. This is driving through the Vietnamese street highway.
What would you be wearing? Would you wear?
I would be wearing jungle utilities. There's the bus.
Do you have it? Were you armed? Did you carry a weapon?
Yeah, pistol. You see a lot of motorcycles, 2, sometimes 3 people on them. This is actually looking over to the west. That's looking east, I think, there. The parade was held up at the MEF headquarters. That's a Buddha that's being built. You can see it's not complete yet. It's a very large Buddha. They still haven't completed the head. I think I show it a couple of more times and it's a little bit more complete. A lot of Christians in Vietnam, but a lot of Buddhists. There is one of the hospital ships out in Da Nang Bay. I don't know if that's the Repose or which one it is.
It's a good zoom.
Yeah, that is actually from my living area. I'm in the MEB now, and I'm over at the old Division CP area, and I was high up on the hill.
So this is Da Nang.
This is Da Nang. That's Da Nang Bay, and that's Monkey Mountain off to the right that I pointed out. These are looking down from my quarters. That's looking up from my hooch that I lived in. The other one was looking down.
That there's security up there?
Yeah. This is looking down from my hooch. Had the sandbags on top of okay, that's where I lived, right there. That's my area. That was my little corner of the hooch. There's another captain who lived across from me, right there. Another captain. We had a lot of fun together. There's that lizard. That's a delicacy in Vietnam. They really like to eat those lizards. That's a box they kept him in.
Is that like the owner of the lizard there? Or?
Yeah, the way they caught him is he stuck his head in a can trying to eat out of the can, and he got stuck on his head, and he couldn't go back in his hole at night. He was walking around in daytime, and they caught him. I think she said show him to.
He's more calm than Denver.
Here again, that's looking over towards Monkey Mountain area. Riding in a Jeep here. Trying to see who this is I'm riding with. This is crossing the river going over from Da Nang over to the Marble Mountain area. The Marble Mountain over there. You see the mountain? The airfield is to the left. I was probably going over there to fly, because that's where I would fly out of. Those were the military bridges that were put across the river. You can see the South Vietnamese security on the bridge. Make sure sappers didn't float down the river and try to blow it up. There's LST. A lot of ships. That's actually a World War II ship. They made hundreds of those in World War II. Designed in about 2 weeks. This is the Corps headquarters. It was a Vietnamese headquarters. That's where Uncle John worked at this building right here. He was an advisor at Corps headquarters.
Was he there then?
No.
Okay.
But he went to see him when he was there.
I think I might be with Captain McInturf. Okay, this is a CAC unit that is being pulled out of Vietnam.
What does CAC stand for?
A Combined Action Company is what my brother Charles did. And Captain McInturf, he's not there right now, but he and I were in PLC juniors together. He was an infantry officer. He retired a lieutenant colonel. Great guy. Always wanted to fly, but had bad eyes. Quite a football player.
Yeah, where is he from?
West Texas. Went to school at West Texas State. Played on their football team. Got hurt very badly playing for Quantico. Broke his leg. And they almost put him out of the Marine Corps, but he stayed in. This is Highway 1. either going to or from, looks like it's coming back from that CAC ceremony. It was Dave and I, and we had a Marine in the back with a submachine gun for protection. There he is. And that's Dave McInturf right there driving. One of the rivers south of Da Nang. That's our house mouse. Actually, that's the cleaning lady that was in our hooch. Yeah, I don't remember her name. Everyone we had was real nice. Here again, that's taken from the door of my hooch. There's that Buddha. You can see the head starting to take shape. The ship's out in Da Nang Bay. Had a very natural bay there that was nice, protected. It's a sunset. Red sky at night, sailor's delight. Skyline out from us. Okay, that's the catwalk. They're doing the laundry. They'd put it in their pan and then walk on it, and then they'd beat it against something to wash it. But that's the maids there doing the laundry.
They did everyone's laundry?
No, each hooch had their own. See her beating it against the rail there to wash it. She's walking on your laundry that agitates it like a washer.
You talked about in the book there's a hierarchy or something.
Yes, there is. They are very, very social conscious of what you give them. For instance, we gave them the cold power soap, and she lost face because she didn't have Tide. Tide, you had to have Tide. Okay, this is over. You can see from the last time that Buddha, the head, is not complete, but it's getting there. Here it is. This is coming back, I think, from one of the parade practices. Or you can see those clouds. It's typical Vietnamese streets and so forth. Okay, back flying. There's the Buddha from the air. All right, this is over to the west of Da Nang. That's Da Nang Bay out there. The airfield for Da Nang's back over to the right that you can't see. All right, this is coming back around and going down the beach in Da Nang Bay. You see the Vietnamese boats out there in the harbor. This is where the Vietnamese would go down in the water to go to the bathroom in Da Nang Bay. That was their sewer system.
Those fishing boats out there?
Yeah. There's good old residential areas. This is all built up today. And that is Monkey Mountain. Now here's where I'm going to fly all the way around this peninsula. I had never flown around it in either tour and decided to do it one time. Beautiful areas, a few small beaches that were really nice, but not many. There's inside the cockpit again. This collective that was over on the far left. There's a cyclic right there.
What are those red buttons?
All of those are safety. They're safety wired down. You have to break the safety wire to do something. This is where the monkeys would throw rocks at you if you were driving up the mountain. I always said, boy, it'd be nice to have a home there after the war. There were some beautiful areas all along their coast.
Very remote.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to go down there.
No. There's some calm up on top of it. I never got up there. Here we are coming back around to the bay. All jungle.
So you could just decide and say, hey, I want to fly over here? Like VFR or something, or what?
Sometimes I could go where I wanted to. It depended on what I was being tasked with. And sometimes I had spare time. Sometimes I didn't. Okay, we've come back around. Back to the bay on the right here. This is riding again back in, looks like on Highway 1. With there's OE, or O1 was the newer designation. Oh, okay, there's a water buffalo. Kids taking the water buffalo somewhere. They use the water buffalo for everything. They plow with them. Use them as a beast of burden. That's Dave McInturf, and he's firing a Swedish weapon.
The 9mm?
It's 9mm. And I'll fire it here. Yeah, that's me firing it. Dave was a nice guy. I really liked him.
From Abilene.
No.
No.
Okay. We went in to the local village. He wanted to show me around. By the way, the night before they retired their colors, he wanted to go on a patrol and take the colors with him. But they just CO overrode, so they didn't take them in the field. This is a local market. Those straw hats they're wearing, you couldn't bring those back to the States because of bugs or something. I don't know what that is. Probably didn't know then. It just looked
Looks like some
nice. Might be a graveyard.
Buddhist sanctuary temple.
Okay, there's the road. That's Da Nang over there, straight ahead. The road that comes over to the CP. There's part of the housing that I lived in there at the MEB. The headquarters is located, let me see, looks like it might be close. This is it. I was shooting from headquarters. Every morning they'd have colors, and after the national anthem they would play the Marine Corps hymn, and of course all the Marines would stand at attention. That's Da Nang Bay again. There's Monkey Mountain that I just flew around a while ago. The Recon LZ was near us, up in this valley to the left. And Charlie Med was right down there, right in the beginning of this valley. Well, there is the LZ. I think that was the Recon LZ. My first tour, that's where we would pick up the teams, and second tour, that's where we would go to be briefed on what we were going to be doing and to support them with the Cobras. Back to some of the bridges over the rivers there. It's a guard tower. The water buffalo, he's plowing with a water buffalo. Right up here was a place where a day or two before some Army engineers were killed clearing a mine. I think that's it right there. They had planted a mine under a mine. Dave McInturf. Is a good officer. He got a Silver Star during my first tour in Vietnam. I actually was flying in support of him in the 34 and didn't know it. He was a company commander. Normally, officers didn't drive, but he liked to drive. This looks like it's back up in the Quai Son area over on the Laotian border. Yeah, it is. There's 53. Everybody's sitting around cooking. You can see at the off the ramp of a 53. That's a Vietnamese Huey. That insignia on the side looks awfully close to American, but it's actually yellow and red. Yeah, there they are on the ramp of the 53 with the little fire going to heat sea rations. One of our pilots sitting, he's opened up the ammunition area there and sitting on the door.
That you? No.
Yeah, that was Granddad.
Was it? I'm not sure.
Yeah, that was you.
Well, it looked like him and I didn't.
Well, I think it's him.
Looked like him and
I didn't get a chance while we were in Laos to go up and find Hill 861, the 881 South and 881 North that I flew so much on in my first tour in the 34 during the hill fights. Again, this is up in the Quai Son area, one of our aircraft coming in. This is down at Baldy. Again, this is some of the squadron people. That's a major there on the left. Torino, I think, was his name. A nice guy. That's at wing headquarters. One of the water towers there. wing headquarters was over by the airfield at Da Nang. That's the office that I worked in. Right there. It was a bunker. You see, we're doing a lot. That was a lieutenant that worked for me.
What was your job there?
Helicopter employment officer. The lieutenants worked for me, and we consolidated all the requests from the grunts and farmed them out to the different groups. The groups.
Oh, for missions?
For missions, yes. This is early in the morning. I think we were on the way down to Quezon Valley. We were going in with some special intelligence on a enemy team that was in the valley. It's up in the Quezon Mountains. Marine position. This is a football game between the Army and the Marines. The Marines won 24-0. They had a halftime parade. They had cheerleaders. They had football equipment. They're the cheerleaders. All the Marines, you'll see some makeshift stands too. I'm not sure if that's halftime or not, but the Army. Oh, there they are in the bucket of a Marines up there in the bucket of that. There's another on a forklift over there. This is the Punch Bowl in Hawaii. This is that national cemetery there where they bury those in the Pacific and those a lot of them from Vietnam. There's the Capitol building in Hawaii. This was on R&R when I was there the second time tour and met Pinky there.
The best time of our lives.
Why? Because there was no kids?
Just very nice.
There's Diamond Head, of course. This is getting up towards Tantalus Drive. There she is. Of course. She was a looker. This is the Punch Bowl. I took Charlie Sullivan there. Charlie Sullivan was a Marine in World War II, and he was at Okinawa. This is up Tantalus Drive again. We liked it up on Tantalus Drive. We'd rented a car. They didn't have any running water up there. You had to use cisterns. If I'd bought property when I was there, I would have bought it up Chandler's Drive. Flowers there in
Whenever
Hawaii.
you kiss me, and when I'm away from you, I love how you miss me. I love the way your touch is always heavenly. But darling, most of all, I love
We got 6 days in Hawaii. There she is. This is all really a small fraction of all of the... This is Hong Kong. There goes Chinese junk. Had red sails. I was on the ferry going over to the island, what do they call it? There in Hong Kong Island, I think. At the time, if there was just one place you were going to go in Asia, I'd go to Hong Kong. There it is. That was from my hotel room.
So this was on the way or the way back or something?
No, this is different. I spent 24 hours in Hong Kong. And this, right down there below in the corner, I had some suits made. And they had them made within hours. They were custom made. Looks like they're going to run into each other. Hong Kong is one of the most expensive cities in the world to live in. There's a junk with the red sails. It was pretty, and they're very seaworthy. This is back in Hawaii, and this is from the Outrigger Hotel, from our room. We had lived there for 2.5 years. So we knew people there at that time. Waikiki Beach. The Outrigger was fairly new hotel. Okay, this is up on the Pali. These flowers, I remember them just as you came down from the windward side of the island to leeward. They were there. They were always beautiful.
I think that's now called the Old Poly.
Yep, probably so, yeah, with that new highway. Back up on Townless Drive, I guess. Not everything is in sequence, of course, on this.